The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 27th day of August, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we are able to pump through the radio airwaves on Hot 107.5 with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit, brought to you by People's. Happy Hump Day, middle of the traditional work week. How's everyone feeling today? Everyone excited? You are one day closer to the final weekend of August, the unofficial end to summer, which is Labor Day weekend, right? You know what that means? My favorite time of year. Oh yeah, it's pumpkin season. Pumpkin season is upon us. Yes. You know, I went to breakfast on Friday, and I'm not a breakfast guy. I don't eat, I just eat fruit or drink smoothies for breakfast normally. Anyway, on the menu, I got me a fruit bowl, right? Like a mixed fruit. But I couldn't help myself because Americans eat dessert for breakfast. You know, like Danish and donuts, like that stuff's dessert. That's not supposed to be breakfast, you know? But anyway, they had these like pumpkin spice donut bowls, right? And man, I messed up my fruit breakfast. And they didn't give you like 3 or 4. They gave you like a whole bowl. And I downed all of them. It's about 9 or 10 of them. Anyway, I was just so excited. They were delicious. They melted in my mouth. And yeah, I probably offset the fruit, the good part of the meal, but or healthy part of the meal. But folks, if you know me, you know I love pumpkin bread, pumpkin pie. Yeah, pumpkin cake, pumpkin donuts. I am a pumpkin guy. I'm an autumn guy. It's my favorite season. So anyway, all that said, happy Wednesday to you. We are one Wednesday closer to autumn, to pumpkin spice season. Suzanne Ingham says, super awesome Wednesday, Pumpkin Jamal and Teo. Pumpkin Jamal. I like that. You made that up yourself. All right. Greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Debi Ray-Rivers. She's coming back on from SCARS, and this segment is brought to you by the QE Foundation. Looking forward to another very important conversation with Debi. We're going to be discussing the role we all play in keeping our children safe. The daily play is going to be music today, another music one. So see if you all get it. And audience, do us a big favor if you're streaming with us online. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Alrighty. I'm just going to put the questions out there for you this morning. What improvements would you like to see from Belco? And do you believe Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? Well, you're asking, well, why are we talking about Belco? Well, folks, I headed over to our friends at the Royal Gazette, and former minister and current member of parliament, Michael Fay, he basically, in an article titled, "It's Time to Hold Belco Accountable." And, you know, his core message was basically focusing on a people-centered strategy, one that holds Belco responsible for local environmental and health impacts while lowering bills and creating jobs. Some of his suggestions were launching a rooftop solar energy efficient initiatives and pilot energy storage tied to critical infrastructure. Said it would require Belco to publish daily emissions data and enforce short-term controls on pollution. He did push for clean energy investments as both economic stewardship and environmental guardianship. And the challenge, he said, we can hardly host climate summits while in the skyline we see Belco stacks generating soot. And, we've seen the reports over the years. We've seen people who live in that area showing what's going on their roofs. I say this now, sometimes we don't really truly know the impact of something until years from now, if not decades, when it all comes crashing down. And I hate to make this correlation, but it's like the violence that's taken place in our community among young people. It didn't just happen overnight. This was decades coming, years. So, Michael Fay, again, he believes that Belco should be doing more to help the local environment and lower, bills for the public. Well, the CEO or president or head over at Belco's parent company, Wayne Keynes, basically responded to what he said is political rhetoric. He asserts that facts matter more than rhetoric, and laid out Belco's achievements and technical constraints in navigating Bermuda's energy needs while transitioning to renewables. So Mr. Keynes, he said that 50 million in fuel cost savings to consumers. That's how much he said Belco has saved consumers, 50 million via the new North Power Station since 2020. Yeah, that Mr. Keynes says he saved Bermudians. Belco has saved Bermudians $50 million since 2020. You know what this reminds me of, audience? It reminds me of you ever go to a store, they have Black Friday sales, right? And you purchase something, let's say it was $100 retail, but because it's Black Friday, you get it for $50, right? And because you got it for 50% off at $50, that you run around saying, oh, I saved 50%. The whole time, what they were selling initially for 100 and you bought for 50, they purchased for $5. The point I'm making, you didn't save 50%. You spent $45 on what the cost was. Does that make sense, or am I explaining that correctly? So if you compare it to a retail sector, Mr. Keynes, I have some questions. But anyway, he goes on to say the Nolan Smith battery energy storage system, first in the Caribbean, reducing CO2 emissions by 4,500 tons annually and boosting grid stability. He also said infrastructure changes, the demolition of old engines and smokestacks, modernizing the grid, installing electric vehicle fleet, 83% of Belco's light vehicles. And he spoke about some technical realities that were raised. He said, Bermuda's isolated grid requires constant baseload, unlike mainland grids. It can't import backup when solar/wind falter. He advocates for LNG as and I don't know really what these terms necessarily mean. I just read, folks. So hopefully we can all make sense of it. But advocates for LNG as a clean alternative to reduce soot, urges the public to lobby through proper regulatory channels. He emphasizes the integrated resource plan as the legal and practical framework for energy transition, targeting 85% renewables by 2035. So basically, Mr. Keynes' response is that Belco is doing more than enough. That's what I got from it. Mr. Fay is making it political to Mr. Keynes, and Mr. Keynes is saying, no, but we are doing things. Here's where I'm going to give both of them credit. I appreciate Mr. Fay bringing this to our attention and making sure it stays out front, because a few years ago, it was all in front of the news. And then, like most things, it just goes quiet. But yet people are still dealing with these issues. So I appreciate that, right? And I do appreciate the CEO, president, whatever, his title, Wayne Keynes at Belco. I honestly do appreciate him sharing some facts. However, I think where we probably all disagree is that there's probably not enough being done, because at the end of the day, Liberty, or whatever it's called, the president, the parent company of Belco, they're a private entity. Now, I don't know about you all, but most private entities is really their bottom line. Excuse me, sorry, I had to sneeze. So I think it's fair for Mr. Fay to ask for daily data. I think that some of his questions are fine, but I also feel like I don't disbelieve Mr. Keynes. But why did it take MP Fay to put that out for you to then put the facts out? Something I learned long ago is give people the answers before they have a chance to ask the questions. So again, audience, based on all of this, what improvements would you like to see from Belco? And do you believe Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? Let's go to the audience. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, get rid of the blatant environmental pollution. No, they are not doing enough. They say they are abiding by the applicable regulations, but they can do much, much more. He said, Keynes, how many people in the area around Belco are being slowly being poisoned? State providing dirty water in U.S. states also say they are abiding by the rules. Dr. Anthony Richardson makes a lot of sense, folks. And this is where it gets really, really blurry. The waters get muddy. The law doesn't define good conscience. And I think that's what Dr. Anthony Richardson is basically saying. Just because you're doing whatever it is according to rules, regulations, and laws doesn't mean that you're doing all that you can do in good conscience. I think it was, and I don't want to quote, someone in this audience made a suggestion that, Belco is a private company. They can take a hit for the sake of our environment and struggling Bermudians, but they won't. I want to say Charles H. Jefferson II said something similar to that, but I don't want to misquote. So Charles is tuned in. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's tough because you're dealing with two politicians. And although Wayne Keynes is not currently an elected or appointed politician, he's a politician. But I think Mr. Fay came across less political in this sense. His concerns echo what people in and around that area have been saying for years, right? And while I appreciate what Mr. Keynes is saying in response, to say that these concerns are simply political rhetoric is probably disgustingly disrespectful to the people who've been impacted. And to use Dr. Anthony Richardson's words, poisoned by the pollution in the air. So if a member of the public said it and not Michael Fay, if Michael Fay didn't put his name next to it, is it still political rhetoric? Again, audience, what improvements would you like to see from Belco? And do you believe Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? Do you think Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? Sean Smith says, I remember Mark being mentioned allowing Belco to convert to the liquefied natural gas. That's the LNG. This is a start if it's going to reduce pollution. Why is government resisting change? That's a valid question. That's a valid question. And maybe it's something we can speak with the regulatory authority about. Maybe they have some answers to this. We've got Michael Daniels. He says Bermuda needs to run, not walk towards alternative power sources so that we can dismantle our present system. I think 1,000 people, if not 60, would agree with you, Michael Daniels. I think if it were that easy, we'd be there. I think people don't know how to get there. How do we do it? Because I don't disagree about dismantling systems, but how do we do it? We've got Suzanne Ingham says, why do they have to be forced to give us an answer? Yeah. Why did Mr. Fay have to write that article to get these facts? Michael Daniels says, consider the similarity between Pembroke Dump and Tynes Bay. Okay. Yeah, Tynes Bay was supposed to be the answer to the dump at one point, and it is a similarity. Having come up around the dump, dealing with the smells and the trash right in the middle of, where mainly one group of people lived, and now they moved it out in Devonshire, where there's less of the population for the incinerator. I see your point, Michael Daniels. I absolutely see your point. What else, audience? Yes or no? Yes or no, audience? Do you believe Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? That's a yes or no question. Just yes or no. Trust me, Michael. I'm saying Michael. Wayne Keynes is not going to do anything to you if you agree or disagree. Believe that. Michael Fay isn't going to do anything to you whether you agree or not. Yes or no? Do you believe that Belco is doing enough for Bermudians? Yes or no? I'm going to say no. And the only reason I'm going to say no is because no matter what people are doing, there's always more that can be done. In this instance, when it comes to businesses and stuff like this, there's more that can be done. If they are making a $1 profit, there's more that can be done. Cole Walker says no. WKD Lama says not enough. Suzanne Ingham says no, they aren't doing enough for struggling Bermudians. Okay. And I remember we spoke about the Bermuda Clean Air Coalition. They too were, asking regulators and government, protecting Belco over residents' health, calling for independent oversight, clean air legislation, and compensation for affected residents. Now, not sure how far that would go, but I agree with it. And I don't think people are doing this for compensation. They're doing it because their lives are at stake. Their health is at risk. I think they have valid concerns. Now, I know that Mr. Keynes had previously criticized the formation of an energy steering committee without Belco or regulator input, and he argued for inclusive collaboration. I actually agree with him. I think you can't have, when you're trying to solve things, you cannot have people all with the same mindset, right, in the room. You have to have different opinions, and people who are going to bring different facts. So let's just revisit. Let's revisit. So Michael Fay, in his op-ed, he was calling for accountability. He said, we need daily emissions data. We need to be more solar and have better oversight. And Wayne Keynes' response start talking about how much Belco has saved Bermudians and new battery tech and infrastructure cleanup. And he did speak about the constraints. I think it's important for everyone to approach this with an open mind because none of us are experts at this. I'm not an engineer or electrician. I don't understand this space. But I don't have to be an expert to know. And when I see smoke coming out of something, whether it's a person's nose or mouth or a chimney or a car or a unit at Belco, it's not healthy. And after all these years, you would think that solutions would have, actually solved the problem. Let's go back to the audience. Michael Daniels says, Belco cannot be anything but Belco. Don't beat a dead horse. So what we're saying is move from Belco. Move away from Belco then. Rick Olson says, make solar duty free again. Okay. Charles H. Jeffers II says, that most. I don't know what he means, that most. Maybe he typed something somewhere else. Did I miss something? No. Sean Smith says, what can solar retailers and the government do to make solar energy more affordable? That's a good question. That's a very good question because at the end of the day, we can't just leave it on Belco, right? Belco isn't a solar company or a utilities company. I think there's solutions in this. And we have to figure out what they are. Folks, this was your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking. Let's give Titan Express and Secure some love, and then we'll come back and go to Daily Hour News Break with Theo Dill.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty. Thanks so much. Charles said you missed my earlier comment. Charles, it didn't come through, brother. We don't have a comment from you. We do not have a comment from you. Not as I look to the side on YouTube or not on our screen. So not sure if it you didn't push send or not, but we definitely don't have anything as I scroll up on my site or on our main screen. So if you said something, please send it through. But we definitely did not receive a comment from you. All right, we're going to go to Theo Dill for the Daily Hour News Break. And after that, don't forget, we've got a very important conversation, and important because, and I believe that SCARS has a lot to do with this. There have been some cases recently, and we'll talk about that with Debbie as well, where people have gone before the courts for offenses against minors, and the sentences have just been shocking. And so many Bermudians have been vocal about it throughout social media. And I'm encouraged by that because it was not something you really saw people showing such disgust about before. And so I think SCARS gets a lot of credit for keeping these conversations and it's important to know, just because we don't get the results we want doesn't mean we go quiet and take our toys and go home. No, you keep fighting. So looking forward to the conversation with Debbie coming up. But here's Theo Dill with your Daily Hour News Break. And then we'll go to commercial and then come back with Debbie.
Good morning, I'm Theo Dill, and welcome to your TDH News Break, brought to you by our friends at People's, the best one-stop shop for back-to-school shopping on the island. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I've got a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. Nursery to primary school necessities are all available to People's. Check them out. They're more than just a pharmacy. Now, to start with, the news today, a pair of teenagers, a 17-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy, were both arrested after motorcycle chases with the police. The 17-year-old girl was picked up late last Friday night when mobile patrol officers picked her up riding east at a high rate of speed near Cobbs Hill. She refused to stop, kept speeding, and was chased onto Harbor Road while continuing to ride dangerously. She was eventually stopped near Warwick Park Road and arrested for disqualified driving and failing to stop, ticketed for riding unlicensed and uninsured. On Saturday, just after 5, officers saw another bike speeding along Southside Road near the Stocks Road Junction. This rider sped away from the officers, who noticed that the 17-year-old boy chucked a knife near Pizza House before he was picked up close to Texas Road for dangerous driving, driving while disqualified, and possession of a bladed article. Now, if you were planning on mailing some local swizzle to your family in the U.S., they may end up needing an alternative beverage because of brand new U.S. customs rules. According to a release from the Bermuda Post Office, they've temporarily suspended mail shipments to the United States containing goods now subject to U.S. customs import duty. As of this Friday, countries from all over the world, like the UK, Canada, India, France, the broader Caribbean, and of course Bermuda, are participating in the suspension following a recent executive order from President Trump, which removed the duty-free exemption that previously allowed packages valued at $800 or less to enter the U.S. without import duties. Also, U.S. Customs hasn't yet shared guidance on how tariffs will be assessed or collected and on the status of the necessary systems, whether or not they're built or what stage they're at this point. All this means is that the Bermuda Post Office is suspending mail shipments to the U.S. for the foreseeable future to protect customers from delays, returns, or unexpected costs. And in much more positive news, the local reinsurance industry is continuing to grow as our reinsurance and insurance registrations are on track to surpass last year's totals. Recent data from the Bermuda Monetary Authority underlined the trend, noting that as of the end of last month, they've approved 38 new insurer registrations compared to 63 for all of last year, which means we're close to the pace set by the 2022 peak with 80 new insurers, which was our highest total in almost 10 years. Special purpose insurers continue to be a significant driver of growth in the market, alongside the ongoing strength in our position as a leading captive domicile with over 10% of all captives worldwide, all of them operating out of Bermuda. And weather-wise, today's looking pretty uncomplicated. That is, high pressure parked in our airspace will keep conditions mostly dry with partly cloudy skies and a gentle southerly to southwesterly breeze. Rain is coming later this week, but you're not going to need your umbrella today. And that's your TDH News Break, brought to you by our friends at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Back to the show.
All right. Thanks, Tay. Did Teo report saying a 17-year-old lady gave police a chase? Did I hear that correctly? A 17-year-old lady, like woman, girl, female. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not joking. I'm serious. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't. Okay. Yeah. Folks, real quickly, it is World Lake Day. It's World Rock, Paper, Scissors Day. It's International Lottery Day. You know, I heard that the lottery is like 800 million or something right now in the US or something like that, or 700 million. Someone, told me, I think I should buy a ticket, but I don't like gambling. It's like $3. You all right, audience, let me know. Should I buy a lottery ticket? I'm going to let you decide for me. And if you say yes, that don't mean I'm splitting the winnings with you, all right? I'm just letting you know. But should I buy a lottery ticket? Because everybody's telling me like the lottery is like over $500 million. And I'm just like, oh, okay. No, you wouldn't believe that when I wake up and look out my window, I'll actually take a picture and share it to you, what I see when there's a big billboard right outside my window with the lottery, like how much it is. I pay it no mind because I don't play it. So let me know, should I play it? It's $3. Well, yeah, I think it's $3 or $2. It's $2. And then if you want like Power Play or Mega Play or something like that, whatever. I don't even know what that means. But do you all think I should buy a lottery ticket? We've got Shanna Smith says yes. Okay. Headley and Swan says nope, do not. She's like, do not donate your $3. Suzanne Ingham says yes, $3 is okay. Nicole Walker says buy one for me. Okay, so Nicole, let's say I buy one for you and one for me, and one of them wins and the other doesn't. Which one is your ticket and which one is mine? Polly Rich says yes. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna get $3. Looks like most of you in favor. Kajay Matthew says, yes, we should split if you use number 13. Hey, he's negotiating. He's negotiating right off. Look, you all are gonna save your comments, aren't you? You're gonna save your comments. So you're gonna be like, well, I told him if he used the number 13, he owes me something. And then all you others gonna come as witnesses. Dr. Anthony Richardson says yes. All right, folks. So I'm gonna buy a ticket. I'll buy a ticket. I'm gonna spend $3. I'm dipping in my savings to get a $3 ticket because you all told me to. Headline, you're the only one who said no. So if I win, I can't help you out, sister. Like I was going, oh, cousin Nicole says they're both ours. So if I win, I gotta split it with her. All right, folks. International Lottery Day. Since it's International Lottery Day, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Don't forget, we're coming back with Debi Ray-Rivers from SCARS. Very important conversation. We're discussing how we can do the right thing to protect our children. And we got to understand doing the right thing isn't always easy. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 31 seconds. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Ready to take your financial game to the next level? HSBC is here to help you power up your financial fitness. Your strategy should be sharp and ready for anything because luck won't get you to the top. Whether securing your future, growing wealth, or planning for life's next serve, HSBC's experts are here for you. From budgeting to investing, let's craft a plan as unique as your goals. Plus, get free financial planning consultations to stay on track. Learn more at hsbc.bm/financial planning. HSBC Bank Bermuda is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
Get ready for the cool Bermuda nights ahead. A CI-AC mini split AC unit from BAC Group is the perfect solution, keeping you warm this winter and cool all summer long. While supplies last, you can get a unit starting at just $913.50. Plus, receive an extra 10% off when you pay with cash or credit card at the counter. BAC Group, comfort for every season.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. I am Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves on Hot 107.5 with these most important community conversations. Folks, if you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com, and take this minute. If you haven't already, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, LinkedIn, YouTube, give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Do all you can to help us beat the algorithms as we get set to continue to have very important community conversations that everyone you know should have access to. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our very special guest for the day. We've got Debi Ray-Rivers, the founder of SCARS. We're going to be discussing again. and I'm trying to think, because I as I prepared for these conversations with Debi, I go and read articles, and it's almost like every time someone comes on from SCARS, there's another case, and you just don't understand how it ended in the way it did. But she's going to reassure us. She's going to reassure us that regardless of the results of how these cases end up, how important the work that we all do, not just SCARS, but the work that we all do, how important it is to ensuring that we get the results that we need. And the results are not through court. It's ensuring that children are protected so that things don't happen to lead to court cases. So let's give a warm TDH welcome to Debi Ray-Rivers from SCARS. Debi, good morning.
Good morning, Jamel. Thank you for that warm welcome. Good morning, Bermuda. Thank you for having us. Thank you for the awareness and education that hopefully we can provide this morning.
No problem. No problem. We appreciate you, as always, doing the work that you do. But I just want to start off because, again, I don't want to assume that everyone has watched this show before or knows what SCARS is. But Debi, your personal journey and founding of SCARS has showed incredible courage, right? Just share with people your journey in terms of what you went through, what inspired you to start SCARS, but also as we speak about the right thing in situations, how do you define what it means to do the right thing in situations where silence or denial might feel easier?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. Our family went through this many years ago in 2004, so a little over 20 years. A trusted family member sexually abused both of my daughters. He was 78 years old. They were 9 and 10 when he stole their innocence. That was the most difficult time in my life personally, as a mother. How did I not know? Why didn't I see the signs? One of my daughters never told. She didn't tell for 4 years until he made the terrible mistake of abusing my youngest child. And then she told right away. And that's how we found out about our older daughter. Some children are silent, some children aren't. But I realized that because of the lack of education and awareness around this topic, that we had to start an organization to educate people and to make people aware of the devastating effects that it can have on families. But you're absolutely right. Doing the right thing is not doing the easy thing when we deal with this. But it does mean putting children first, Jamel. You know, it meant for me sleeping peacefully at night, knowing that I did everything in my power to make sure that my children felt protected, were validated, and they were affirmed, right? They matter, and their childhood mattered. And I needed for them to know that their mom and their dad and the supporting people in their family stood up for them. Because when it comes to child sexual abuse, silence or denial compounds shame and unfounded guilt. And just this other layer of trauma for victims. They already feel the shame from it. Children feel that shame because many times perpetrators tell them it's their fault or they're enjoying it. You know, sex feels good. It can be confusing. You know, and so, or they're going to hurt somebody if they tell. You know, I also believe silence or denial can delay healing, right? It also can allow abuse to continue if we don't speak up, right? Because perpetrators don't just wake up and have a bad day. Right. You know, it can normalize the behavior when we're silent or when we deny things or minimize things that happened. It's just not okay. So we do speak up and we do speak truth. It requires support. It requires support from the people in our lives that understand what children need to heal and to thrive.
Yeah, I echo what Charles H. Jefferson II has said here. He says, I've heard Debi tell this story about her daughters, and it sickens me every time. I don't get how someone could be so sick. And I think, you know, it's important. It is disturbing to hear it, as I sit here and listen to it. But I think that's the uncomfortable part. And I think these are the uncomfortable conversations. It is sickening, Charles. It's uncomfortable. But, you know, throughout about many things in our community, we have to have uncomfortable conversations to get to solutions. But Debi, you've emphasized many times that everyone parents, guardians, educators, teachers, faith leaders, counselors, and others. We all play a role in safeguarding children. Why is it so crucial that this responsibility isn't siloed to just one group?
Well, because no group is exempt from child safeguarding. You know, it's crucial. A child predator can be anyone, can be a parent. And we just heard about that in a Survivor Hour show a week or two ago. A survivor was sexually molested by her own father. A predator can be a family member, a family friend, an educator, a coach, a church member, a highly respected person in the community. And perpetrators want to be where there are children. So, you know, when we think about that, they can be in our families, in our youth serving organizations, in our community. And it is everyone's responsibility to make sure that children are protected. And we do that through education and awareness.
Thank you for that. Rick Olson, I think many echo him. He says, keep up the great work. You are a real Bermuda hero. Thank you. Indeed. Indeed. Let's talk about SCARS training programs, like stewardships, children and safe. They both aim to equip adults across Bermuda. From your experience, Debbie, what shifts have you seen in the community as far as attitudes and actions as more people become informed?
Well, I believe many times people act and have certain attitudes around something from a lack of information, right? I don't think people really understood years ago the traumatic effects that this can have on a child through their adulthood. That's a shift when people start when they come into the room, they get educated in prevention, or they see a sign on the back of a bus. Hopefully they're understanding, you know, this affects kids. When someone is trained in prevention, it gives them the tools to have conversations with their own children about body safety. You know, it changes the way people think. I mean, Jamel, sex was a dirty word years ago. There was so much shame around it. You certainly didn't call a penis a penis. You know, in my generation, there were pet names for every body part. We didn't have a pet name for other parts of our body, our eye or our elbow. But we got to the private parts and we just had to call it something else. You know, the word molest was almost never used. My husband and I did research 15 years ago when all this happened. And I couldn't find that word on any local website, the word molesting. You know, we were dealing with the aftermath of abuse, not on the prevention. You know, parents who take our training and learn things like, no forced affection, you know, letting children know that it's their body and their choice if they want to give affection. It doesn't mean we don't love our relatives in our family, but sometimes children might just say, I don't feel like giving that hug. You know, there are some people in families who give hugs a little bit longer than they should, right? I've heard that from many survivors. Let children, you know, be able to make choices like that. I don't want to hug. I don't want to sit on your lap. I don't want to be tickled anymore. You know, but it sends a message that children matter and their choices matter. And that's a changed attitude when we learn little things like that. You know, it's an improved understanding of personal boundaries, the right to say no. You know, children really couldn't say no years ago, right? Like, you know, children were to do what they were told and, you know, don't ask questions and do what I tell you. But, you know, when we teach parents that they shouldn't use pet names for private parts, it changes their thinking when we explain why. You know, if a child goes and tells a teacher that somebody's touching their pocketbook, the teacher's not going to know what pocketbook means. They might think it's a purse.
Right.
If we all have different pet names for our private body parts, how does an adult understand when a child is disclosing if they're not using the proper language? So that changes changes behavior in parents. They're provided with the ability also to recognize unsafe situations or grooming behaviors. Right. That's a change of behavior. In terms of our youth serving organizations, more are mandating SCARS training for the people that serve their children. It's not because they don't trust the people serving their children. They want the people that are serving the children in their institutions to be able to recognize these signs quickly and intervene. We've seen a change of more implementation of codes of conduct, best practices, child protection policies are being, created in schools and camps and clubs and faith-based centers. That's a shift in behavior. Isolated one-on-one situations are decreasing. Remember, sex offenders don't do this in front of their family or in front of their church members or in front of their coworkers. They're going to look for isolated one-on-one. And so when we help people understand that, then they work on decreasing those situations in their organization. All of that reduces risk. I've seen a reduction in victim blaming and more empathy towards survivors, right? We've seen an increase in reports over the last decade. More historical cases are coming before the courts. In terms of the broader community, we're realizing that the traumatic effects this has had on survivors and the trickle-down effect that can affect all of us, right? Perpetrators are also put on notice, Jamel.
Yeah.
We're watching, and their secret may be exposed. So be ready.
Yeah, indeed. And, I guess as I'm listening to you just now, I know I saw someone post on social media this week saying everyone wanted everyone to speak up regarding these issues for years until they found out it was their friend or family member and so on. How are we receiving that as a community, though? Because no one wants to know that their close family member has done something like this, especially when you're speaking up about, these are some of the worst kinds of crimes you can do. Is there a way to, there's going to be trauma for other people. In fact, we're talking about people who have children on their own who have done stuff to other children. Like, how does it impact the children that they have who they didn't do this to,
It does, Jamel. It does. And I feel for those children of predators who weren't affected by the person in their life that they love who hurt somebody else. This hurts for them. And my heart feels for them because they didn't cause this. And they weren't affected by the person who they love. They weren't abused, but the person abused someone else. That is not easy. And those children need help. Those family members need help and support in dealing with this. But we can't put a blind eye to injustices against children because we know predators do have their own children, but for some reason they don't abuse them. Some do abuse their own and many don't. But it's not okay. And we are not responsible for the choices of the people in our life that we love who make bad choices. We're not. It has no effect on them, but it is difficult for the family members and the children of predators. And I say to predators, think what you're doing to your own child if this comes out, because it could come out. Your secret can be revealed. But the damage that it does to the child that was abused, there's no words because it's a lifetime sentence, many times for victims. It changes a child's life forever and it will affect them. It doesn't go away. And so I would say for somehow just to get help around that, those family members of perpetrators, get some help around that. Please know this is not a reflection on you. You didn't cause it. You are not in control of the people in your life that made bad choices. We never are. We never are.
Yeah.
And understand the risks of this person being around other children. It's a risk.
Yeah, indeed. Debbie, I want to shift gears because, again, I mentioned this earlier. A recent case saw a 29-year-old man receive a suspended sentence for a 2019 sexual offense involving a minor. How do outcomes like this affect community trust in the justice system and the morale of survivors seeking justice and protection?
Yeah, great question. I believe that it does affect trust in the justice system. It can cause a survivor to wonder, why are they being put through this, all of this? They've already been put through trauma as a child. They finally find the courage. And then, they find out only that the person responsible for violating them will not be jailed, will not be held to account. It can be exhausting. It can be frustrating. frustrating to constantly be attending court dates that end sometimes without resolve. They might, in their hearts, there's just no justice. It will affect the morale of survivors and their families. It will, it could cause others to say, why should I bother? The time it takes for these cases can wear down a victim. I know, I've talked to them. I've spoken with victims who are going through it and gone through it, and their affected families. They feel depleted. They feel angry, and it's substantiated emotions. We can't tell someone how to feel that, this is just the way it is. It's not. But this is what I'm going to say, Jamel. We cannot allow that to stop us from doing the right thing and reporting cases of sexual abuse. And we've said it before. We know delayed justice can be denied justice. And there are several things that affect cases, such as this one. It can be the reduction of courtrooms. We know we have less courtrooms. We know that. Delayed reports, as mentioned in this article, a lack of resources, right? Increased criminal cases. The list goes on, and I'm not condoning it. Trust me, everyone knows how passionate I feel about this. It doesn't make it right. But I do want to say to the listening audience, don't allow that to prevent you from making a report. You know why? Because nothing else, you're sending a child a message. Sexually violating you is not okay. And I believe that doing nothing is a choice, and it's not a good message for child victims. Regardless of the outcome, let your child know that we're going to report this. We are not going to be silent. We will interrupt this behavior no matter what. And we will send the perpetrator and their advocates a clear message that nothing is going to stop us from doing the right thing. Because it's despicable when someone steals innocence from a child. We want our family members of victims, manage the expectations, let children know, as their father and I let our children know, we may not get the outcome we want, but we're still doing the right thing. Try hard not to get worn down from a system that we have no control over. But we can still advocate. We can still be the voice. SCARS isn't the only voice in this community. We all have a voice. We all know people in the system, and keep talking. Keep advocating. Don't give up. Don't be silent. And continue to demand accountability from those in positions of power. Be relentless. Be relentless in your quest for justice. Because trust me, perpetrators and advocates of perpetrators are relentless. They are. But let your child know that no matter the outcome, you and they did the right thing in reporting, because that is the right thing.
Indeed. Got quite a few comments and questions coming from the audience. I'll go through a few. Kami was created to courage, says, I'm so grateful that children are now encouraged to speak out, as it wasn't back in my days. And we hear a lot of situations like that. So again, organizations like SCARS make it so much easier to do. Manuela John says, since silence enables predators, but it's not easy for everyone to open up. It may not be comfortable or convenient to report. Yeah. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II. He says, I know this would be hard to quantify, but does Debbie have a sense of there being a higher rate of prevention? Does the threat of being found out really make a predator stop this behavior?
That's a great question, Mr. Jeffers. Well, prevention's hard to measure. That I can tell you. But I think it helps when people are aware and when they're educated in the signs. And when people react responsibly. I think there is a deterrent because predators are put on notice now. And I would say to all the predators out there, get some help. Get some help and put people around you that are going to be honest and hold you accountable. There's always more work to do in this. What was the second part of the question, Jamal? Sorry.
The second part, he asked, does the threat of being found out really make a predator stop this behavior?
One would never know. I've never had in 14 years doing this work, a perpetrator hasn't called me and says, let's sit down. I want to talk about what I've done to children. And yes, your work is helping. Nobody has said that to me. So only a predator knows that. Maybe psychologists will be able to answer that, or, people that work in the prisons. I don't know. That has to come from another source, because predators certainly aren't calling us to give us that information. But I would hope it would, because as I said, there was no deterrent before. People were just sweeping it under the rug, or there was a lot of shame around it, or, you know, people didn't understand the effects of it. But I'm hoping that education awareness is changing that. I really do. And I hope the other thing I want to say is, when we educate young parents with young children now, they are teaching the tools to their children about boundaries, about what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, what's okay, what's not okay, about bullying behavior. You know, I don't know if I've told this story on your show before, but I hear a lot of survivor stories. And one time I came out of a training and a lady was sitting on the ground crying. And I sat down on the ground with her and I held her as she cried. And she told me that her brother had sexually abused her as a little girl. And she said to me, Debbie, my brother was always a bully. He used to practice on me for his girlfriends with sex. And I remember there were like 6 or 7 years difference between them. But she said, my parents saw the bullying behavior and they never intervened in that bullying behavior. And she said, today he's an adult, Debbie, and he's still a bully. You know, we as parents and guardians need to get educated. I did not do that. I did not get educated. There was a part I played in it because I did not talk to my children about this. And so I think that's a deterrent right there. That does help in preventing these type of cases, because, you know, this action starts young. Bullying starts young.
I want to ask the audience, just yes or no, and no shame if you haven't, but just want to know from the audience, has anyone received SCARS training? Yes or no? Renee Simmons says, I received SCARS training as a tutor through the reading clinic, and I have small nieces and certainly watch out for them, ask them questions to ensure they are safe while away from home. How important is it for just to have general conversations with young people like that?
Oh, are you talking to me? Sorry, Jamel. Yeah, yes. It's hugely important, because children don't know what they don't know. This information has to come from home, because prevention begins at home. It doesn't start in school or at church or at camps and clubs or on the pitch. It starts at home. It's not a one-time conversation. Parents and guardians have a duty to talk to their children about this and let nothing's off limits. We have a duty and a responsibility when we bring children into this world to teach them. It's not somebody else's job to do that. It's our job as parents and guardians, you know, to continue this conversation with them. And SCARS has all the resources on our website to do that. And we have the educational tool to do that. So if you don't know, sign up for SCARS training. It's 3 hours of your time.
Kia Renee BDA, she's asking, are inside cameras where camps are held useful or used around Bermuda?
Well, they're legal, and I've been told that they are legal. You can't have them in bathrooms and changing rooms for obvious reasons. But I would, if you can afford it, install it.
Indeed. Charles H. Jefferson II has another question. What is the cost to go through the training individually or as a group? Should we mandate that all group leaders be SCARS trained if they're going to be interacting with children?
Charles Jeffrey, that's a great question. There is no cost to individuals, and I'm grateful that you asked that question. There's no cost to individuals. There's no cost to any youth serving organization or any group that wants to do our training. And you know why? Because of our donors. Our community and our corporate donors believe in our work. SCARS has to pay for every person that gets trained, to the Darkness Light organization who created this amazing tool to prevent sexual abuse. But we do not pass that cost on to people who come into our room to get trained. You know, we were grateful we got to a place that we didn't have to charge people to learn how to protect kids. And we hope we never do. Indeed. We don't want there to be a deterrent. Somebody wouldn't get educated, right? And sometimes many times cost can be that deterrent.
Indeed. Kajay Matthews says, for parents, caregivers, and others alike who struggle to make the time to attend a course, does SCARS have short videos on YouTube or an app where the instructional info is provided? And we have a second. Sean Smith also asked similar question. Can the training be done online?
So most of our trainings, let me answer the first one before I forget. We have videos and recommended resources on our website. If you go to scarsbermuda.com and you go to the tab that says resources, arrow down, we have resources for parents, videos they can watch, recommended reading to read to their kids, and we have resources for youth serving organizations when it comes to implementing policies and wording. It's all on the website. Most of our trainings are virtual, and we're grateful that we were able to pivot to that in 2020. And grateful to the Darkness to Light organization for doing that. And so, yes, 3 hours of your time. But if you don't have 3 hours of any time in your life, and we understand everyone has busy lives, go online and read, the area the tab that says resources for parents and guardians.
Indeed. Dexter Smith says, keep up the good work, Debbie. You have our 24/7 support. And we did ask some of the audience, have they done SCARS training? Suzanne Ingham says, yes. Carmi was created to encourage, says, yes, I have received it once. I opened my dance school and it was very helpful. Misha Fablo, Senator Fablo says, yes, earlier this year. Nicole Walker says, yes, I'm SCARS trained. But Charles State Jefferson II, he says, I have not received SCARS training. My kids are in their 20s, and I'm ashamed to say I've never had this conversation with them. Debbie, is it too late to have the conversation? Speak to Charles and others who may be in his situation about that conversation, even as adults. Uh-oh. Did we lose you, Debbie? I think we may have lost Debbie.
Oh, am I back?
Are you there? Okay.
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 Yeah, it is never too late to have that conversation with your children in their 20s. It might feel better if you do the training and then talk to them, but it's not, you can still talk to them. And all you have to say is, listen, we did not talk about this when you were young, and I am so sorry. And, I just want to let you know that you can share anything with me. I might have been I don't know, what type of parent Charles was, and parents who've never spoken to their children. But, if sometimes years ago, parents would say, if anybody hurts you, I'll kill them, and so, and not because you're a murderer, because you really cared about your children so much, but it might have silenced them in coming out and sharing with you if something happened to them. So let them know, like, you can come and let's have a conversation. Did anything like this ever happen to you? If it did, I'm here now. Let's talk about it. And really, even just for parents to say, it's okay to say sorry to your kids. I never had these conversations. It was so uncomfortable years ago talking about sex and sexuality and boundaries and private body parts, and and I wasn't educated. But I would say, get educated first, and it just helps you come from a place of knowledge when you sit down with your 20-year-olds. But it's never too late. Never too late to talk to they're always our babies, Jamal. Our children are our babies forever.
Yeah. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he's asking, has SCARS worked with the Department of Education to educate children on proper behaviors towards them?
Yeah, great question. We believe at SCARS that it's an adult's responsibility to protect children, but we do understand that children need to receive the message. The Coalition for the Protection of Children is the nonprofit in Bermuda that provides training for children. It's not a one-time message or a one curriculum message. What you say to a 5-year-old is going to be a different message to 12-year-olds. So they have different age group messages, and they are doing that work in Bermuda, going to all the schools, from what I understand, and teaching their curriculum. So the Coalition for Protection teach children, SCARS teaches adults.
All right. Debbie, if you could ask the community, families, faith groups, coaches, educators, and others to adopt one concrete change in thought or action to make Bermuda safer for children, what would that be?
Well, this applies to everyone, Jamal. Never forget what it felt like to be a child. Never. If your childhood experience was not great, do everything in your power to make it better for your child or any child in your life. And if your childhood experience was good, provide the children in your life with that same gift.
Debbie, thank you so much. We've got one more. I'll go to one more with Charles. He's asking, Are teachers required to go through SCARS training?
Yes, they are. Every public school teacher in this community is required to do SCARS training and to do it every 3 years. And we can thank the Commissioner Kamal Richards, Terry Cox over the Department of Education, all of our principals over there that are ensuring that their teachers are SCARS certified. I want to thank all the private schools, all the leaders in those private schools, who have also required SCARS recertification. The sexual abuse of children hasn't gone away. So for them coming into the room every 3 years, they're being reminded. It's like CPR, Jamal. We want to remind the people responsible for kids what it is we need to do to protect kids. And SCARS is, constantly updating our curriculum. So yes, I can say that. I'd like to see homeschools be also made required to do SCARS training, because people do start homeschooling. And so I hope one day that becomes a requirement.
Indeed. Debbie, just remind people, because again, folks, if you don't follow SCARS on Instagram in particular, and I'm not a big Instagram person, but I do see SCARS stuff a lot. They keep you up to date on a lot of stuff, but remind them your website, you're on social media, how they can get in touch with you should they want either to volunteer or do the training or just get in touch.
Yeah, thank you. It's scarsbermuda.com is our website. Our SCARS line is 297-2277. I have to admit, I'm not a huge social media person, although I constantly watch out for our social media. I want to give a shout out to Total Marketing, who do an amazing job with our posts. But it's SCARS BDA. And we are on Facebook and Instagram. Please like us. We need more followers. We want more followers. We want people to hear and see and learn about this message, this critical message on how important it is to protect the child in your life. Every child deserves to be protected and kept safe.
Debbie, I just want to thank you for trusting our platform to engage this audience. And I'm going to thank the audience while you're here as well, because these questions that they ask, and it reminds me when a teacher used to say, no question's a dumb question. The questions that they're asking, the comments that they're making, for me, this is progress. This is a part of the process in making Bermuda safe for our children. So thank you for trusting us to have these conversations, and thank you for being available. And a big shout out to QBE Foundation for ensuring that we can have these conversations on a bi-monthly basis, and looking forward to the next one. So keep up the great work. And as I'm echoing what everyone else has said in the comments, truly the work you're doing is heroic. So we appreciate you. Thank you. And I look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you, Jamal, and thank you, Bermuda.
All right. Debi Ray-Rivers from SCARS, folks. If you appreciated that conversation, do us a big favor. Just give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. These conversations need to be in the ears of every person you know in our community. I'm grateful for Debbie. And folks, I just want to let you know that they do have a program on Channel 82, Survivor's Hour. You want to catch that? What I really like about what they do is they're going, no one has an excuse not to know what SCARS is doing. I said during our anniversary celebration where we had other mediums there, none of us own the media space. None of us own this space. This is a service to our community. So whether Debbie is on Channel 82 or in the Royal Gazette or on Power 95 with Cousin Ms. Thank, like, to me, we all speak to different people. And the fact that they make themselves available to go in different spaces to engage, that makes me happy. This is not a money thing. It's not a control thing. This is a community thing. So thanks again to Debbie. We're going to take our final break. Thanks to the QBE Foundation for ensuring that we can have these conversations with Debbie. You don't want to miss this. We're going to have a bit of fun when we come back. So give us about 1 minute, 24 seconds. I'm lying. Give us 2 minutes, 48 seconds as we give thanks to those who ensure we can have these conversations with you. In the meantime, give us a like, love, follow, and share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues.
Join 14,000 SCARS certified members in Bermuda, and you can help reduce the risk of childhood sexual abuse. Become an advocate and a voice for our children. Get trained, get certified. We offer community and private sessions. Visit scarsbermuda.com to register for training. You'll also find valuable information and resources on our website. Visit scarsbermuda.com. Get certified today. SCARS, Saving Children and Revealing Secrets.
Did you know 3 out of 4 people say that they have a good understanding of life insurance? But do they really? When asked how much the yearly cost would be for a 20-year, $250,000 level term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old, 80% overestimated the cost by 5 times the amount. Ready for this? The true cost for that policy is about $220 a year. That's as little as 66 cents a day, or $20 a month. So let's put this into perspective. Compared to other monthly costs, isn't getting life insurance a no-brainer? If you can trim back on some of these expenses just a little bit, it will allow you to dedicate the savings toward an affordable life insurance policy. Contact one of our life insurance agents today to find the right policy for you.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Being from this little island, like yourself, we knew you needed access to reliable shipping. We set up mailboxes so you can skip all the long waits or held up in customs excuses.
With mailboxes, that won't happen. Get your packages in under 48 hours using our dashboard.
Plus, if you're a planner or headerer, our weekly consolidation service might be for you. We hold your packages in Delaware and ship them together to save you big time on shipping fees.
And with our warehouse being in Delaware, that means 0% sales tax. Pretty cool, right guys?
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Debi Ray-Rivers and SCARS and the QBE Foundation for trusting our platform to have these most important community conversations. Folks, again, if you haven't already, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, do us a huge favor right now. Help us beat the algorithm. Just give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Just make sure the conversation reaches as many people as you know. These are the things we should be discussing at that final barbecue this weekend on our Labor Day weekend. I want to give a big shout out and a thanks to BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and also HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important conversations on Hot 107.5. Sorry. It is time for the Daily Play brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, are you ready? It's music today. Let's have some fun. It's music. All right. After Toni Braxton's man unbreaks her heart, what does she want him to say? I just made it longer because you're not showing up. You're probably Googling the answer. Okay, you all got it. You all got it. Yes, Say You Love Me Again. Yes, Renee Simmons. Yes, Nicole Walker. Yes, NTS. I was worried about you all this morning. Yes, Sheldon. Sheldon's a music guy. I knew you get it. All right, good stuff. All right, let's wrap it up. Got to let you all go, but regarding Belco, again, this is not my area of expertise. I just know that I have a Belco bill in my name every month. And I know that I have family and friends and people who are impacted by the environmental impact or aspect of what Belco is throwing out their way. So from that aspect, I always would believe there's more that can be done. I guess the challenge is, are they able to do what needs to be done within the rules and regulations that exist. That's what we probably don't know. What we don't need is people going back and forth, people, whether it's politicians or those employees of Belco. What we want, what Bermudians want, is solutions. We want people to provide us with solutions. People may not be sick now, but we know what things can lead to later on. People want reduced bills. These are facts too. Those are facts. That's what people want. So my hope is that there can be more transparency, not because someone's being called out through op-eds, but because that's the least the people deserve. As far as the conversation with Debbie, very uncomfortable conversations, very uncomfortable. And unfortunately, uncomfortable conversations have to happen in many respects. We speak about things often, and people are afraid to discuss things for whatever reason. It's hard to hear some of this stuff. It's very hard to hear it. But unfortunately, when we continue to see cases in the news showing up where these things are still prevalent, then the conversations can end. They must not end until our children are safer. All right, folks, got to give you some daily inspiration and let you go on your way. But again, I ask you, if you are streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, family, and colleagues. And I'll leave you with this. We all have a part to play in various aspects of safeguarding our community. So do not wait until your doorbell rings to do your part. Don't be reactive, folks. Let's be proactive. All right, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and a big shout out to HSBC Bermuda for ensuring that we're able to pump through the radio airwaves on Hot 107.5 with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.